I've put together makeup mistakes and some of them are not as obvious as you would think, so stay tuned. Don't forget, I do have an online publication called Confessions of a Creative, which covers different topics such as self-help, entrepreneurship, beauty, fashion, all written by me. There are 2 subscription offers. One is free, where you get access to occasional newsletters. The second one is a paid version, which is only around a coffee a month. That's all it's going to cost you. And you get access to the entire site, special paid subscriber perks and benefits, and you get a little room where we can chat. So head on over so you can show your support. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and hit the bell button so that you never miss any of my future videos. And I'm over on Instagram, so come and say hi there too. Now let's get started with this video. I know there are so many videos out there talking about makeup mistakes, but honestly, this one is a little bit different because there are so many makeup mistakes out there and I didn't want to pick the most obvious ones. What I wanted to do was go through all of the makeup mistakes that there are around and that I've heard of and seen of, and I really wanted to pick the ones that are maybe not so obvious, so that just in case there's any of you guys out there who maybe do this yourself and you don't even realize, and you're wondering why your makeup is turning out a certain way and you didn't realize that actually it's this and I need to change it to this. So what we're going to be doing today is doing the right side and the wrong side. So the correct way of applying your makeup, different things that we're going to be talking about, and also the mistakes side. So this is going to be the mistake side and this is going to be the correct side. Now that we've cleared that up, let's get started. First mistake is that you're not hydrating enough before your makeup application. So this is actually going to make a huge difference to how your face looks. I'm going to go ahead and apply my moisturizer, which is my IT Cosmetics Confidence in a Cream, and just apply that to this side. That's all I'm putting, just my moisturizer, and that's it. I'm not saying that just by applying your moisturizer that isn't enough and that's a mistake. What I'm saying is that you need to really focus on giving your skin a little bit of extra hydration before you put your makeup on. So this in itself on its own is probably fine, and sometimes I even do that myself, but the mistake part would be that you're not using something which is actually fully hydrating. So some moisturizers out there are just not hydrating enough. If you're using the IT Cosmetics Confidence in a Cream, I would say that's probably enough, but I'm talking about just using any old moisturizer probably doesn't give you enough hydration, and it's just the bare minimum that how much you should probably put on when you're not actually wearing makeup. So what we're going to do on this side is we're going to put a serum on, which is a hydrating serum. We're using the Active Rejuvenation Serum from Lancer, and we're going to let this kind of sink into the skin before we actually put the moisturizer on. See, like that really nice glow there? That's like really giving us that hydration. We're going to let it sink in just for a few minutes. Well, not a few minutes. It's not going to take a few minutes. It's going to take less than a few minutes. But I'm just going to have my coffee in the meantime. You can already see how this is like very matte, and then we've got that glow here because it's got extra hydration here. Like it definitely feels hydrating in comparison to this side. Now that we've let that kind of sink into the skin, I'm going to go over with my moisturizer. It's really important, which is actually part of this mistake, to allow your first skincare product to settle down into your skin before you actually move on. Can you see the difference now? Like I can, and I can definitely feel it. This is way more kind of like, it just feels more kind of plump, hydrated, and this is a lot just less hydrated. It just feels like a bit more kind of, I can feel my skin, whereas here I feel like I've got, you know, moisture that's really gonna like, it's there, it's enough of it in order to keep delivering it to my skin throughout the day underneath my foundation. That's the first mistake. Next up is how you apply your foundation. Now, I am one for using any tool that you want to use. Honestly, you can use your fingers, you can use a sponge, you can use a brush, but there is a correct way of using those tools too. So I'm going to show you how I have seen some people apply their foundation on this side, and that is with their fingers, which is not wrong. You can use your fingers, but what I have seen is the way they've done it. So I've got a little bit of foundation there on my fingers there, and this is what I've seen, where it's literally applied the way that a moisturizer is, but too rough. I want to tell you the problem with this. You might think that, okay, I'm putting the foundation on, and I've seen this whole trend of people putting foundation on with their fingers, like Meredith Duxbury, etc. I've seen her rub it in like this too. The difference is that you're, number one, not going to use the same amount as her because she uses a ridiculous, crazy amount. Still makes it look flawless after, but still, realistically, day to day, you're not going to. Secondly, you're going to be using such a small amount that what you're doing is you're rubbing that foundation in, but you're rubbing it too far into your skin, and you're making your skin skin red and agitated. It's just not gonna, it's like rubbing your eyes and then expecting them to look bright and clear. It's not gonna happen. So you have to really think about what you're doing to your skin. The way that I've seen it being applied is honestly so bad for your skin. It's not good. You're making it red, you're aggravating your skin, you're probably rubbing it in too deep. It's not a moisturizer. It's not meant to sink into your skin. You've already applied your skincare for that. This is meant to be a topical product to help, give you an even finish, disguise flaws, blur the skin a little bit, give a veil of color. You're not meant to rub it into the skin in that way. So now I'm going to show you the correct way of applying it. I'm going to use a brush, and I'm going to use my Sigma F85 brush. I've got a little bit of that foundation on the back of my hand. We're just going to literally swirl it, and it's so much more gentle on your skin, and it gives you a better finish as well. So you actually get more coverage with the same amount of product, more of a kind of like airbrushed finish to your skin, and you haven't aggravated your skin. I have got such a nice finish there, and here it's still patchy because really what I've done is just rub it away. I haven't even put it on. It's just rubbed it. I've just rubbed it into just all kinds of places, and it's just not even done anything. So here we've got that nice even finish, and the foundation has done what it's meant to do. The next mistake is using a concealer which is way too light for you. I have seen this a million times, and I've also seen it a million times on celebrities on pictures. So I'm going to be using a concealer. This is the NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer in Chantilly. And I am going to apply this to the areas that I usually would apply my concealer. Okay, so now I'm going to use my sponge and just blend it as normal. As you can see, way too light. It's just way too light. I mean, I don't even know what's going on there. It's just like not meant to be. Very bright, has given you the brightening effect like you probably wanted, but it's way too white. It just isn't, it's just not looking right. Now what we're gonna do is go over with the correct shade on the other side. And I'm gonna use my Hourglass Vanish Concealer in Dune. And now let's buff this in, same way, and we can see the difference already. Can you see the difference? Look at the difference already. It's crazy. Like, look at that. It's very bright, yes, but at least this looks natural. So it's really a case of finding the right shade. You can still go for a concealer, which is a little bit lighter than your skin tone, but it shouldn't be this light, don't assume that it has to be something which is much brighter in order for it to kind of like do its job, because it will, just not do its job in return. So you want to really kind of get something which is close to your skin color, but just a little bit bright, just a touch brighter. So nothing crazy. The problem with having a concealer which is way too light, and especially on the under eye area, it's just going to enhance any kind of like flaws that you may have, like fine lines, like dryness on the under eye area, because it's already attracting that attention because it's so much lighter than your skin color. It's going to attract even more attention to the areas that you're probably actually trying to disguise. The next mistake is contouring with no purpose. There's a lot of people who actually do this where you end up just contouring, but you're not thinking about what you're doing and you're just applying it, and it's in all the wrong places. So I'm going to show you how I have seen contour being done, and not just how I've seen it being done, but also when I've seen people, when they're out and about, and I've seen that, okay, clearly I can tell that the contour, the placement is completely wrong. And the thing is, with that, what that really means is the person doesn't actually know where to apply it, in which case you shouldn't even do it until you've practiced enough. So really, it's contouring with no purpose because it's not really doing anything. If anything, it's just making it worse. So what I want to do is show you some of the obvious places where I've seen people place it in the wrong position. We're going to go here. I have seen people apply it way too low. So this is actually from the middle of the ear, and also way too much. So what they've done is they've actually gone with a thick amount, which is the same all the way across. The width is the same. That actually needs to change, and I'll show you after in a little while. The other thing I see is where it's applied not close enough to the hairline, and it's basically just right in the middle of your forehead. That's the other place, and then the other place is here. So instead of being below the jawline, it's actually above the jawline, and that isn't the correct way of applying it. Now what I want to do is actually do it in the correct way here so that you can see side by side the difference before I actually blend it in, and you see the difference that it actually makes. So first off, we're going to start from the top of the ear, and you really need it to kind of fade in so that it's not like the same thickness all the way across. You really don't need a lot. So we're going to start from the beginning of the ear. And you see how that's just fading out there? That's the correct place, because that's where it's going to create that slight shadow, which will give you that depth there. Now around this area, if you do want to apply it all the way across, there is a way to apply it there. I personally like to just draw a little line there because that's where I feel that I need it. If you feel that you need it all the way across, then honestly, just a few little kind of lines there, very close to the hairline, is more than enough. Now underneath your jawline, see the difference? Way too much over here and too thick, and it's not in the right place. Like this here is right in the middle of the forehead. This here is way too low, so it's actually just going to make this whole cheek area look bigger, and it's in a place where it's not kind of, well, it's not where your actual cheekbone is sitting above. It's a bit too low. And then your jawline area, it's just like you haven't even applied it below. It's not going to, the shadows are not going to be created in the correct places in order for them to actually be effective. Over here, we've got it so close to the hairline, so that shadow is going to go into the hairline, making it look like the hairline is coming a little bit more forward because there's no gap between it. Then here we've got that really nice kind of shape there. It's not too much, it's not overpowering, and we know that we can blend that in without it taking over the whole side of the face. And then here it's already hidden. We haven't even blended it yet and it's already hidden. It's below the jawline. So let's get on with actually blending this. Now I'm going to start with this area here. And the problem is that people apply too much and then it becomes very muddy as well. And a lot of the time they end up actually wiping some of it off because it's just way too much. Okay, see all that? Way too much. Now I still want to be realistic about this. No one's going to do this and then walk out, right? They're still going to try and disguise all this now. So I still want to do the same thing as what other people would do, because even though it may end up like this, I'm sure the average person who ends up getting it like this will try and correct it in some way. But the point is that you don't have to get to a point where you have to correct it, right? It shouldn't be a mistake. So I'm going to do what I would assume they're going to do, which is get a sponge and kind of like just blend the edges, you know, so it doesn't look as obvious, which in turn will make it look even more muddy. Maybe not as harsh as what it currently is, but you know, it's just not in the right place, right? Now we're going to go over and blend this in on the correct side. We're going to take this into the hairline. See how that doesn't look like there's a gap in between it now? And then this area here, we are going to try and keep it in the exact same place. So not spread it out so much, and because we've applied a smaller amount than the other side, it's much easier to kind of blend in. And then here, this stays under the jawline and going into the neck to create that shadow. There we go. See, look at this side, and then look at this side. I am very quickly going to set my makeup with powder so we can move on to the next step. Honestly, this side is so much better. This side is just making me feel all types of wrong. So let's now move on to the next. Next is the wrong brow shade. So this is probably a quite common mistake that I see people make, and you guys have probably seen it as well, where people are using the wrong brow shade. They're using a shade which is way too dark for them. There is such thing as also using a brow shade which is too light for you as well. I was thinking of actually doing that one instead of the dark, but I feel like this is going to be a bit more obvious in terms of like the difference for you. With the light shade, the mistake with that is that what happens is if you're using a shade which is way too lighter than your actual hair, and you have sparse brows, so you're thickening them up a bit, what happens is it becomes really obvious where the actual hair is and where you've actually shaded in. So that's where you do need a slightly darker shade, but there is such thing as too dark as well. So that's what we're going to be doing. So I'm going to shape them as normal. So I'm not going to like, you know, be unfair about this and like create crazy looking brows. I'm going to do them as normal, but I'm just going to do it too dark. I'm using a shade which is way too dark. This is actually my Benefit Precisely my brow pencil in number 6. It's actually pretty insane how dark this looks. Now I'm doing my shape as normal, but what I'm doing is actually making it like dark using this pencil all over as well. So there's a couple of different things that I want to share with you about this. One is obviously using a darker pencil that you honestly don't need to go that dark, because ultimately you want your brows to look soft, right? You don't want them to look like... And I didn't want to do a crazy shape because that's just going to make it look even worse. I want to really stick to the mistake at hand as opposed to kind of try and make it look as worse as it possibly can do, so it looks like a crazy mistake. I just want to stick to what I'm actually trying to say here, is that using a pencil which is way too dark for you can make a big difference to your overall look, which you'll see at the end. Now this, what we've done is we've shaded it. We've used the wrong pencil because it's way too dark. But not only that, what we've also done is made it dark all the way across. There's no transition, there's no fade. It should always be a little bit lighter at the front of the brow, and it can gradually get a little bit darker, but not this dark. Now what we're going to do on the other side is use the same pencil but a different shade. I'm using the shade number 4, and I'm going to now apply it with a different color, so it's lighter, it's better for my skin color, better for my hair, and I'm also going to make it a little bit lighter from the beginning. So let's shape this first. Okay, so can you see this is nowhere near as dark, and also it's just a bit more kind of like softer as well, and it's kind of a similar shape, but what I feel is that with this it's a lot softer. We've got the definition there, we've got that kind of really nice strong brow, but it isn't overpowering like this is. It's not too dark, it's a little bit lighter. You can almost see strokes of hair as well, so the way that you've applied it should be different, and also the color should be different. It should be a little bit lighter. It should just kind of like, you know, be a bit more fluid, where it doesn't look like, wow, there's a brow there. It looks like a slug, you know. So hopefully you can see the difference and see exactly why this is a mistake and exactly why this is the right way. This next mistake, I think quite a lot of people make, and it's such a subtle difference that you need to make in order for it to actually be so much easier for you, and then not spend the end of your look wondering why it's turned out that way. So this has to do with the eyes, and I'm really excited to show you this one because it's honestly such a small difference that you need to make. I'm going to use my Makeup by Mario Master Mattes palette, and I'm using my Sigma E49 brush, which is like a crease brush. It's like a dome brush. It's really nice. This is where the mistake comes in. We're applying the product to this brush, like so. We're dipping into this eyeshadow. I'm going to go for a kind of like brown. Let's go for this one here. So we're going to press into it. We go into the product. Then straight from here, we go straight into the eye. See that? You cannot do this because it looks horrendous. Look at that. It's just crazy. And look at all that fallout as well. This is where you just go into the socket and you just hope for the best. I don't think I can even carry on. I think that's more than enough for you to see how much of a mistake it is. The problem with this is that you've gone into that color, you've gone straight onto your eye, you have got so much excess on that brush that it has to go somewhere. So what happens is every time you're moving your brush, the actual pigments from the eyeshadow are flicking over the rest of your face. There's just too much product on the brush. And I didn't even keep kind of pressing it in. It's just eyeshadows in general. You need to dust it off the brush first. I'm going to go with the same brush. I've just cleaned it off on a tissue into the same color, and I'm going to show you here, right? I'm going to do the same amount as I did for the first one. Now this is where I am going to now go over this tissue first, and now I am going to go over the same area with this color. It is crazy how much of a difference you get. Things just generally look a lot better. And I'm applying it in the same place. I'm not getting any of it flicking all over the place. It's not going on the rest of my face. Like, look how much better that looks in comparison to that side. It's just so much softer, and you can build it up if you want to. All because I dabbed it on a tissue first. That's all that was. It is honestly crazy how much of a difference this makes. So without further ado, let's move on to the next. So this next mistake is something that, again, I see a lot of people doing, and a subtle change will make all the difference. So we're going to be applying our liquid eyeliner. So I've got my eyeliner pen. Now what I see a lot of people do is stretch the eye when they're applying it. So what they're doing is they're stretching it. This just feels weird to me because I'm so not used to doing it this way. It kind of like distorts your vision a bit. And then they basically do their wing, because it looks great when you apply it like this. There's a couple of things wrong with this. Number one is the wing doesn't look how it looked when I stretched my eye. When you stretch your eye, everything's like, wow, lifted, smooth. Everything is so perfect. But then you let go and all the skin crumples up together again. And that elasticity is kind of like shrunk, and basically you've got a different shape. So now there's a dip in that line where it's not so up, like lifted and smooth as it was to begin with. There's gaps in between the eyeliner now as well, and also the shape just doesn't look how it did when I was lifting it like this. I mean, if I lift my eye like this and I apply my eyeliner, that is going to work great if I'm walking around like this all day. If I'm going to walk around like this all day, it is great, perfect, it looks amazing, but I'm not going to. So you have to be realistic about it. However your face is going to look face to face, however it's going to look while you're walking around, that is how you should be applying your makeup. Exactly how it's going to look when you finish. My eyeliner has literally just run out, so I'm going to have to swap to another eyeliner. Okay, so still an eyeliner pen, guys. So what I'm doing is making sure I look straight ahead in the mirror. I'm not stretching my eyelid. So I know that when I take this pen away, it's still going to look the same because I'm not stretching my lid. Now my wing, I can really focus on how I want this to look like because I'm looking straight ahead. There you go. So I know I don't need to let go to like surprise myself with how this is going to look after. I know that however I'm applying it while I'm looking in the mirror, it's still going to look like that when I let go of the pen, not my skin. All my eyeliners are drying out. I feel like I haven't worn eyeliner for so long. They're just all dried out. I have to throw this one as well now. Hopefully you can see how this side is looking a lot better than this side so far. But in the meantime, let's move on. And next up, we have another mistake, but this time to do with blush. So I'm going to be using my powder blush, which is from Surat, and it's the kind of bright pink one. I'm going to use my Sigma F12 brush as my brush, and I'm going to show you the mistake that a lot of people make. So we're going to dip into this blush. Firstly, the first part of the mistake is look how much I'm applying to the brush. I have seen people literally go all in with blush because they love blush so much, which is great, good for you, but you don't really need to like, you know, dip your whole face in it. You can still go a bit easy with it. So we've got all this blush here. Now, the thing that I see is people just kind of like, I'm going to just do this how I see people do it. And where I've seen it kind of like on people. No real kind of placement. I'm still kind of, if you see, I'm not moving it all around, right? So I'm not being clever about it and going everywhere. I am just applying it on my cheek area, but you still have to be very specific with how you apply it. Hopefully you can see that through the camera because I always feel like things are a bit diluted over camera. Let's move on to the correct way. Now what I'm going to do is dip into this. That's it. I'm then going to dip onto my tissue and then I'm going to apply this very specifically, just this area here. Okay, I'm not going everywhere because what's happening is because we had so much product on the brush as well, it was just going everywhere the same way the eyeshadow did. So what I'm doing here is just focusing on the top part of my cheekbone. That is more than enough for me. It makes such a huge difference where you apply your blush, honestly. So moving on to the next. And we're on to the last mistake. So moving on, this last one is actually something which isn't that obvious because you would have heard of people overlining their lips. I have seen some people underlining their lips where they're just a bit too scared to go on their lip line. I know what it is. So I'm going to show you how I have seen underlining. Like it's not on my lip line, it's below my lip line. I'm going to apply a lipstick in the same way. Now I'm going to do it on my lip line on the other side. Such a big difference. I really hope you can see that through there. This is just, it just doesn't doesn't enhance your lips. So I'm not saying overline, I'm saying actually line on your lip line. And if you feel that your lips are too thin, then you can potentially overline. Don't make the mistake of underlining, because it doesn't look good when you can see your lip line above where you've actually applied any of that lip color. So I really do hope that all of this has helped you to ensure that you're not going to make those mistakes yourself, and just shown you how much of a very subtle difference it can be that can actually change the way your entire look looks. So as you can see, this is the mistake side and this is the correct way of applying it, and this looks way more normal to me. This looks a bit clownish to me and just too much going on. So yeah, I hope you've enjoyed it, and wherever you are in the world, I'm sending you loads of love. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and hit the bell button so that you never miss any of my future videos. Until the next video, take care and I'll see you soon.